All right, guys, welcome back to the Egoless Podcast. I've got a personal mentor and idol in the industry. I've got Dale Childress, the master closer. If you look up the master closer, it's Dale Childress. There's a lot of sales systems, sales programs out there. Nothing, not even anything in the entire world is anything close to what he's doing. He is the Jedi when it comes to sales training. And he is the actual reason I sold good before I met Dale and got on his program. But Dale is the reason that I was able to hit big numbers, door-to-door sales, almost 30 million thanks to Dale's training. So Dale, welcome, dude. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Jake. It's a pleasure to be on here, man. I'm grateful that you invited me on here. Been looking forward to it.
Tried to do it a couple times, but the right thing at the wrong time is the wrong thing. And things are just adding up. Tell me a little bit about what you've got going on right now.
Man, there's so much craziness going on right now. I mean, even if we just eliminated all of the distractions that are in the media, and there's many, but if we just ignored all of that and only looked at the positive things that are going on in our lives, if we put enough attention on the positive things, we'll find plenty of things that we can celebrate about. The good things that are going on in my life right now, in spite of all the craziness, we've got a fifth wheel RV. We've been on the road now for a couple of months. We've got some very good plans in the future. One of our intentions is to go on the road and actually do a tour. So I'm looking forward to doing that. We're wrapping the RV so we can promote our brand, the Master Closer brand.
You do kind of remind me of you're a rock star personality. I've never met anybody that didn't say like I love Dale, but then you're about to go on a rock star sales tour. Now I know you're up there in Virginia, and we met in Florida. Things are a little bit different in Virginia right now. In Florida, we're doing things one way. When this whole COVID thing hit, it really changed the nature of the business and how we interact with people. And I think it's going to change the way that we interact with people going forward in the future. I think the principles are the same, but the way that we interact. Give me just a quick snippet about how it was in Florida, then transferring up into Virginia to help a company grow by using the same thing.
Right off the bat, and coming up here into an area that I've never been in. Only time I've ever set foot in Virginia was to train other clients. I'm in an environment where there's an abundance of people that need help, and there's a communication factor going on. Because in today's environment, the market, I don't know if anyone's noticed yet or not, but as far as door knocking, we've had to adapt to some things, and especially this part of the country, there's been rioting going on, just craziness, man. So what we've done is we've managed to find out a way, just through being resourceful and creative, we've actually figured out a way to still make this work and adapt to the market, to the change in the market. So what we've done is we've developed an online presentation where we literally do a screen share and do an online presentation, walk them through the steps, show them all their stuff right there online. We don't have to meet anybody in person anymore. So we've adapted it, and ironically, you can help more people faster because you don't have to spend your time driving all over the place.
Wait, so hold on a second. So are you telling me it's a blessing and not a curse?
Exactly. We adapted and got better.
See, I love to hear, because you look on social media and think people are, freaking out this and this. But if you're telling me if that you can make the same money, but you can help more people
better
faster
money
without even
this
having
is
to
an opportunity. It's an opportunity, man.
That's that's an opportunity. No, that's incredible, dude.
In Florida, so we left Florida right when all the stuff started going on in the media. It was really kind of our way of reacting, but being proactive too, because what we did was something that we wanted to do for a long time anyway. And it was one of those things where, hey man, let's get a fifth wheel, let's go get a 50-foot RV and go get a 25,000-pound rig. And let's go on tour and tour the United States. That's one of those things you talk about, like just kind of envisioning or, throwing ideas out, but it never was a right time. But man, we saw this, as soon as all this stuff came out, we were like, if we're ever going to do this, now is the perfect time.
You literally are mobile. And So I mean, that's what I like, is because you can really get to live your dreams. For me, the definition of success is I want to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it for as long as I want to do it. What is the definition of success to you?
Right. That's my definition of success. It's the freedom to be able to say, "Hey, let's go here tomorrow," and literally be able to go wherever you decide you want to go tomorrow. To me, that's what winning's all about. It's being able to have that freedom, to have the options. Everybody loves options.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Everybody loves that. I may not want to do it, but I just want to know that I can do it.
Options, man.
Options.
Now,
there's
where you want to. That's what you want to go. You always want to have options.
No, I like that. There's not too many people that can say. Everywhere you go, you literally are a rock star. You're one of the most popular people I've ever seen online. But it wasn't always that way. Taking me through the journey of Dale Childress.
That's so wild, man. I didn't expect you threw a curveball at me.
People ask me, like, can you send me a meeting notes? And I say, I can't send you meeting notes because
we were going to talk about roof sales training, Jake.
This is not a roofing podcast.
So, man, I'll tell you what. I knew enough about being poor to know I didn't want to be poor again. Growing up, we grew up, I would say, in a definitely below average environment. And the thing is I didn't know, because I've been asked before, or I've heard people ask before, do poor people know they're poor? And at the time, growing up, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that things were rough. I didn't realize how rough it was until I had more contrast to compare it to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like ignorance is bliss almost.
Yeah. And so I started seeing all these other people that appeared successful. And, we'd go to visit my other family relatives and stuff, and we would pass by vehicles that were really high-end, very expensive luxury vehicles. Now, you got to realize I'm a little 5-year-old sitting in the back seat of the car. All the windows are rolled down. We don't have air.
No AC.
In the car. The car is blowing smoke out of the back, burning oil. You have to put oil in it every time you go somewhere. Like that was the family car. Broken windshield. Like you can just only imagine. Use your creativity. And we'd pass by and there'd be somebody driving a brand new Cadillac. And I thought, man, I want to do whatever they're doing. I like their version of reality a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, what's going on?
So it didn't take me long to start observing the success that was possible. Instead of my environment that I grew up in rubbing off or contaminating, I don't want to say contaminating, but it's appropriate, I think. Instead of me allowing my environment that I grew up in to affect me in a bad way or a negative way, I flipped it. Like every time something would come up, I would say, well, when I'm old enough to provide for myself, I'm never going to be in this situation. And I would always look at that it was like fuel for me to succeed in life.
When was the first time that you did that? Because I know, like, people go through, I grew up poor. And I know a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't adopt that mindset. Like what you just said, hey, when I get there, believe in it. Like when was the first time that you can recall that you were like, you made the cognitive decision that you said, hey, I'm not going to let my environment around me affect me.
I've even asked myself that, and I know this might sound crazy and I can't explain it, but I'm just going to give you an honest answer. I think I chose to be born into that environment, so I would have a wild story to tell towards later in life. So, I mean, I honestly do believe that to my core.
If you wouldn't have grown up in that environment, you wouldn't be who you are.
Oh man, there's no way. There's no way.
You'd be what we call them a swell. It's those people that are born into money. Everything's swell. Never had to go through the hard times. Yeah. But those hard times really create strong men.
Resourcefulness is what my weapon is. I can look at something and think of a way to make it work.
Because you had to.
Yeah, because you have to. You're exactly right. When you have to eat, like, you get creative. You figure it out. Right?
Yep.
So, there's no way that I'd be as resourceful as I am now had I not had that experience. Contrast is the way I look at it. Let's just start using that word. Contrast is a great thing because we have to be able to compare our reality to where we want to be. You need the contrast. Without the contrast, you can't really gauge your growth. You got to have the contrast. So when we talk about the times that were rough, those were really the times that I refer to in order to have the contrast that I have. So it's not a negative thing at all. It's okay, that's my starting point. Let's use that for the baseline and see how much we've grown from that.
No, I think that's huge because so many people, they think that where I'm at right now is my identity, and it doesn't have to be. You can almost, I look at it like time traveling. You can live in the future. Hey, this is where it's at right now, but I live in the future. Like nothing like you're always just like never doing anything, but you actually can literally live in the future. Say, hey, I know what my life is going to look like in 1 year, 2 year, because you're the kind of person that you refuse to concede to any other outcome than that which you desired and you made up.
Mm-hmm. And when I read Think and Grow Rich, after I'd already started one of my first companies, I read that book because I was at a point in my life to where I was kind of bored with everything. I'm like, man, I got to do something that's just do something big. And so I read Think and Grow Rich, and I couldn't stop reading it. Like I picked it up and I promised myself I was going to read 10 pages a day. And I think first starting, just set a little simple goal, for 10 pages a day or 10 minutes a day or whatever your goal is to get started. The most important thing is just to get started. Just get started. Don't pick up a book and think, God, I got to read this whole thing before I'm done. Don't look at it that way. Just get started. Just open the book and read a few pages.
So Think and Grow, that's the very first book that I read when I was homeless, like living in my
car. Oh, really?
Yeah, the very first book. I think that there's a lot of like books out. I feel like everybody's writing a book nowadays. Most of them are not that good. And, I feel like so many people will start reading a book, but it's like, it's not for their level in life of where they're at. You might not need a book till 3 or 4 years, a certain book 3 or 4 years, down the road.
Yeah.
Is Think and Grow Rich, do you feel like is a good base point for anybody, no matter what?
If you're prepared for it. I mean, like you just said, if you're not at the point in the life where that's going to work, then you're just going to lose interest in it. It's not right or wrong. It's just, it's bad timing.
So you feel like when you read that book, it was the right time, but
it was impeccable. It was impeccable.
But if you would have read that book, say 3 or 4 years before, would it have done the same thing?
I wouldn't have understood it.
That's insane to think about. It's the exact same book, but it more so has to do with you internally than anything else.
Well, what's really trippy, Jake, is you can go back and read that book again now and get different meanings out of it. I've read that book so many times, the cover's worn off of it. Like I've literally worn it so much, the cover's worn off of the book. That's how many times I've read Think and Grow Rich now.
That's insane. And I mean, I know, and we'll get into it, probably a little bit later down, but that's been the basis for pretty much the rest of your career. So take me after you read that book, you were already had your business. Walk me through that.
So I read that book and started carrying myself a little differently. I started seeing myself as more of a business person. It changed a lot about the way that I thought in my head, my internal thought. A lot of us are sabotaging ourselves when we don't even realize it. So it opened my mind. And one of the things that really stand out, if I just had to sum up what Think and Grow Rich means, or what is the actual trick or the secret as they refer to, I would just say, just have a burning desire, have a strong burning desire, and just accept that that's the way it's going to be. And then when you start making any decisions from that point forward, you base those decisions on, does it get me closer to that ideal scenario that I see in my head? That's what I really got out of Think and Grow Rich above everything else, is exactly what I just shared with you.
And I think that so many people have, because so many people say, hey, we want certain things in the world. We want this, everybody wants, but it's like, what are you actually thinking about? What are you actually doing? Because everything that you think about, everything that you do does not correlate with that. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Definitely.
you see yourself as that person, I always tell people, you gotta hear, you gotta think, you gotta speak, and then you gotta act. Because there's days that you don't feel like it, but I'm still gonna act like it. I'm still gonna hold my head high, like that.
So one of the things that I remember early on, there's times in your life that you're going to question, can I really do this? Can I really pull this off? Is this really for me? And if you'll go ahead and accept that you're going to be successful at whatever you do, and really get laser focused on what you want to do in your life, because I think there's so much opportunity out there that the biggest hindrance is all the noise and distractions that we have to dig through in order to actually see what we're looking for. So I made a decision early on how I wanted my perfect ideal scene to look like. What does my vision of my future look like? And I call that my ideal scene. And I spoke on this at a pretty large event out in Denver a few months ago. And here's the thing. Figure out what your ideal scene looks like. Imagine a blank canvas. And then ask yourself this. What is in your life right now that you would not paint on that canvas?
Oh, that's...
And start removing things from your life that are preventing you from acquiring your ideal scene. We just have to remove anything from our reality right now that we have in our lives. We have to remove that immediately, as fast as you can. The more of that stuff that you remove from your current life, the faster you're going to be able to acquire your ideal scene. Everybody wants to talk about how much extra do you have to do? How much extra effort do you have to put out? But what they don't talk about is, let's talk about getting rid of the stuff that's already in your life. Let's don't even talk about doing anything extra right now. Let's talk about getting rid of the things that are causing a bottleneck in your life. Get rid of the things that are pulling you back, because then you can get clarity. When you start removing all the garbage, you can get crystal clear on what your ideal scene looks like.
And just with that one saying right there, we just probably lost 75% of the audience, because it's true. Everybody like talk about, just do a little bit extra this. I want to hear a sales, a sales tip. But when you get down to it, like, if you don't remove those things, like, it doesn't matter what else extra. I mean, being in the roofing industry, and this, I think, is so prevalent because there's people who make very quick money. But those people, it's in an industry where those people are not that great of people. They're not that great of business people, but they're still making great money. And what tends to happen is when they make that great money, they're still that exact same person, but it's just it actually becomes worse because they've got the money.
Yep. And that's the thing, man. If you don't remove that stuff, you're still going to be dealing with it. It's just the problem is going to be more magnified with the more money you make.
You're right. Because I hear about people, not just roofing, but all kinds of different industries. They've got a drug problem, and they just want to make, they make enough money to support their habit. Well, the problem is that their habit didn't stay small. Then their habit became this huge beast that they've still got to keep up with. And that's why it's so important, I think, to remove, to be able to remove those things out of your life, because they're gonna be there.
Yep. And so, that's my best word of advice is on that particular subject is, you just got to focus on exactly what you want and remove what you don't want in your life. Instead of fighting it, just remove it. Don't try and fight it. It's just going to be a bigger problem if you try and fight it. Remove it. Like, place no attention on it anymore. Remove it. The harder you fight something, the bigger it gets. Don't fight it. Remove it. Another thing that I learned that I know contributed the success that I have now is we get exactly what we put our attention on. Nothing more, nothing less. We get exactly what our attention is on. So if our attention's on something that we don't want to happen, then you're going to attract that into your life. And I do live my life by that. I absolutely, I protect my thoughts. Like, that's very important. And it's easy to slip up, man, especially all this drama that's going on right now in our society. But you got to protect your thoughts. It's very important. And ask yourself, hey, are my thoughts in alignment with where I'm headed?
That's a tough question. I think a lot of people ask. That's what I love about your stuff. Because for me, you are much bigger than sales training. Like, is your stuff the best sales training on the planet? Yes, of course it is. Like, that's hands down. I know from experience, and other people and other companies who have used it. But really, because I believe that the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything. And your stuff is so much deeper as you get into this, the way that you think, because that comes off on people when you meet people. I believe in vibrations. I believe in you can feel who people are. And do you have the best sales training? Yes, but a lot of times people want to do deals with Dale Childress just to do deals with Dale Childress because they feel that inside you. And that's what I love about you.
Well,
You're saying something like Denver, like you kind of gave your first time in public. Tell me about that.
Okay, so that's right. My background. I was talking about my background. That they threw me a curveball at the event I was speaking at. About an hour before I got on stage, he said, "Hey, this other guy that's speaking right now is talking about sales training. Can you talk about something different?" And I said, "Well, sure. What do you want me to talk about?"
That's a crazy question to ask, Dale. Like the master closer.
Well, I already had. What's funny is I already had a presentation prepared that I had given a million times, so I was kind of relieved that I got to talk about something different.
That's when you know, like you're truly about it. Like when if you're up there to give a pitch on sales training, like, oh, would you mind talking about something else besides sales training? It's like,
okay.
Okay. Not many people can do that.
How much time can I have? That was my next question.
Yeah, we're gonna need to bump the next speaker. Dale, you are the closeout speaker. Okay.
So, long story short, we lived out in the country. We didn't really know anything, no examples of any financial success or any examples to follow in business or anything. It's just, I had that burning desire that I wasn't going to be poor. I had that burning desire that I was going to be like those guys driving those nice cars around and that kind of thing. That's it. It just, I programmed my brain to only seek out things that are in alignment with my vision of my perfect life. And it's not easy to do. It's definitely, it takes a lot of effort. One thing I learned from Bob Proctor, you follow any of Bob Proctor's stuff?
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, I love Bob Proctor.
Okay.
The Secret.
I think he's still alive too. He's still hanging on.
Yeah, he's doing stuff. I see quite a few of his proteges.
Dude,
big stuff.
Man, yeah, I've studied Bob Proctor for a long time. So one of the things that I did is I reprogrammed my mind intentionally, and I literally did certain exercises that helped me do that. You want to hear one?
I do, actually.
Figured I'd be polite and ask since this is your podcast, Jay.
You're a gentleman. You're a Southern gentleman.
So I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis.
And you started that before money was coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, you want to get real for a second, you're not going to read this in any books, okay? This is stuff I figured out. Like I just figured it out in life. I did that back to back nonstop for an hour every morning. It should take you about 6 seconds to say it once. And I did it nonstop like a broken record for an hour every morning for about a year. I've never told anybody that in my life.
Most people say something one time.
No, You can say it in 6 seconds, and I said it back to back nonstop for an hour.
That's what I'm saying. There's
every morning,
the amount of work put in.
Every morning for about a year. Every morning for about a year. And as the more I said that, the more I believed it, the more my brain heard my voice saying it. I said it out loud. It's important. And my brain would process that, and it would hear my voice say that every morning. And I don't know how it works. I'm not going to tell you how it works. I'm just telling you it works. My brain began to believe that I'm a money magnet, that I'm attracting all these opportunities, even when times were rough. I was doing that when times were rough. I wasn't doing that when times were good, because I had to change something in my life. And I'm like, man, I'm going to do whatever it takes. If it means me chanting this thing and helps me and it gives me an advantage, it helps me do what I want to do, then why wouldn't I at least try it and see if it works? What I would do is I would say it every morning, and I would do it during my workout. That was my time to really get my focus on what I'm going to accomplish today. During that 1 hour, I would chant that one thing. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful. And I would just do it over and over and over. And it does. It programs. You're deliberately reprogramming the way you think. But you have to obsess over it. You can't just do it when you feel like it, or forget here and not do it here. Like, it's got to be like your level of commitment to those kind of things is what's going to determine your level of success.
No, that's huge. Like you just decided. I don't want to cut you off with more questions. I'm gonna let you just free flow, but you decided, you stuck with it. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. But you obsessed over it. You stayed with it.
Man, we had a gift card. I'll never forget this. I know my son won't. I was, oh my gosh, in my 20s, and we had had a Little Caesars pizza. Now, I'm not going to say anything negative about Little Caesars pizza, okay? But it ain't like the best pizza in the world.
No. But you got $5.
Yeah, we had like a gift card where somebody had paid me for one of my services. It was like a $500 gift card to Little Caesars. So, dude, we were eating Little Caesars like every day. And I'm at the gym saying my little chant every morning. And all I had was my Little Caesars card to feed my family with. That's all I had was my Little Caesars gift card. And I'm chanting this.
Right. And right there, that doesn't make, you're literally going backwards.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to a regular mind. You're eating pizza, you're at the gym, and the only money you've got for food is a Little Caesars pizza card. That it doesn't make, most people be like down and out.
Dude, we ate Little Caesars for like 2 months.
I'm going to send you some Little Caesars after this podcast.
You better not.
You see Uber Eats knocking on here.
Now the joke is, anytime we have the kids over or something, I'll ask them if they want to go get Little Caesars for dinner.
I don't remember a lot of my good, like the best memories. I remember a lot of the memories that were like that weren't perfect, but like they stick with you.
Yeah. Hey, y'all can have anything you want on the Little Caesars menu.
That's right. The master closers got you guys today.
Don't go over $7.
That's right.
You can have anything you want on the menu. But yeah, and the thing is, man, is the more people you help, then the more successful you're going to have. You know, find out who's got money that you are after and go help them.
It's just like what you said there. People are like, how do I become successful? Go solve somebody's problem.
It ain't rocket science, man. It's really not. There's a lot of idiots that are very wealthy.
Yep.
There's a lot of idiots out there, like seriously dumb people, and they have a lot of money. So they are the ones proving you don't have to be smart to make a lot of money. Just look at them. Just look in the news.
You know, we go back to just what you said before is you get what you focus on. I mean, fast forward your life, like it's incredible, and we'll get into that. But you get what you focus on. I don't think a lot of people have actually desired and said, hey, no matter what, this is what I want.
It's not easy to do. It's very simple. It's very simple to understand, but it's not easy to do. Vision boards is another thing. We've created and redone probably 4 vision boards in my adult life, and that's another biggie. The thing is, our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between an image of something and actually seeing the real thing. So if you want to surround yourself around everything that you want in your life, surround yourself with those images now. You'll begin reprogramming your mind just in the same exact manner as I was doing my chant. You can also reprogram your mind by looking at those images every day. And what'll happen is you'll begin to program your brain to seek out more of those images in real life. Like, you'll naturally gravitate in real life towards those images. The brain does the work.
Figuring out how do I get that?
You show up and put your attention on it and envision yourself as if you're already in that image. And the more emotion you attach to that, the stronger the emotion you attach to that, the faster you'll acquire it. You have to feel it. You have to feel it in your heart, feel it in your soul, that you know you're going to live this experience, and savor that feeling as if you're already living it, and then just enjoy it. Like, enjoy the process. It doesn't have to be a grind, man.
I'd always thought that the secret was weird before. Just think, and when I heard people talking about it, it's a weird thing. So I developed that thinking about it, like, oh, it's a weird thing, till I read it for myself. I had done all the things, supposed to be successful before, but this last year has been the very first time that I have implemented those things from The Secret. And The Secret is based off of things in the Bible. Like, I believe that the Bible is 100% true. And
very sound principles.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that because you could take the principles just like you talked about and you follow your journey, somebody doesn't have to become the master closer, but they could be a master at something else. They could still live the life that they want in a totally different thing, because the principles are all the same, and it works. It really, really does work.
I do remember from a childhood memory a long time ago. I was probably 6 years old. My grandmother, so we were playing ball out in the front yard in the neighborhood. We got all the neighborhood kids together at my grandmother's house. I went and recruited everybody to come over and play, and I drew out the lines where the end zone was going to be, and I had the ball and the marker and all that stuff out there. And my grandmother looks over and she says, "You're going to be a great leader one day. You're going to change a lot of people's lives." And I was 6 years old, but I believed it. She gave me that. My grandmother did.
Did you feel like before that, did you feel that way? Or do you think that was
I didn't realize the significance of it until now, like 40 years later.
But when it comes to like identity, though, is being young, because I think that a lot of this.
I remembered her saying that, and she gave me the courage, and I began believing. For whatever reason, my grandmother sees that I'm a leader, so I guess I'm a leader.
If a kid can do that, and then you base the decisions as a 6-year-old, right? When you go to make a decision, you make a decision as a leader. Well, if I'm a leader, what would a leader do? And then I make that decision. Just that self-identity is huge.
Yep. Now I got to start acting like a leader. And that's all subconscious. You begin believing it. Same thing with the negative stuff too, man. If you hang out with negative people and they tell you negative stuff, you start believing it. And it'll destroy your life. Not because you're a bad person, but because you hung out with the wrong people.
It's that environment. Now, say somebody's listening, right? They're like, "Man, that sounds great," but nobody has ever told me that I'm a leader, or, I'm great, or I'm loved. What would they need to do to change that self-image? Because you can tell yourself something.
Here's the thing, man. We're all born. You're born and you know in your heart the difference between right and wrong. We know in our heart what's right and what's wrong. So if you know what's right or wrong, it's not a question of ethics. If we've at least established that, okay? Dream. What is something in a perfect world, if anything was possible, what would you see yourself doing in 10 years? Like, where would you be standing in 10 years? What are you wearing in 10 years? Who are you with? What are you driving in 10 years? And start really asking yourselves those kind of questions to get clear on where you want to go. Most people know what they don't want. They'll tell you what they don't want all day long. I don't want this. I don't want to have a car crash. I don't want to lose my golf ball in the pond. I don't want to get a speeding ticket. We all know what we don't want. And we constantly, throughout the day, there's probably 1,000 times we think of something that we don't want. But how do we program our mind to think of something that we do want and do that frequently? And it's a skill. I think it's a learned skill to focus on what you do want and continually focusing. And Think and Grow Rich calls that a burning desire. I'm explaining to you the modern day version of what Napoleon Hill meant when he talked about the burning desire 100 years ago.
That's huge. And because our brain's a muscle, and just like it's something that you got to work out, you got to put your body under stress when it comes to, lifting weights. And it's the same thing too with your mind. It's like, you got to keep stretching. It's like, this is hard. But you got to keep doing it because you really can, expand it.
Yep. And so I wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to lead people and build sales teams and help companies grow and expand. Like, I wanted that. And that's what I'm living now. I wanted to be able to have the freedom, though, to travel and be very mobile so I can be agile for my clients. That's a very unique, a very deliberate way that I live my life that I think a lot of people think about doing, but they just don't know how to take that jump. And it's a process, but I did create the life that I have right now. I'm very grateful for it.
For when it comes to the people out there who are successful, right? They've gotten there. You hit everything that you had ever wanted. Like, you painted this canvas out there. Here's what Dale Childress' perfect life is. You hit that. What's next? What was it like when you hit that? Because so many people have happiness, destination, sickness. I'm going to be happy when I get here, happy when I get the car. I hit this when I did, I was like, dang, it wasn't. But tell me about, you hit everything that you'd ever wanted in your entire life, and tell me about that.
So, dude, that's a great subject. You'll never hear me say I'll be happy when. You will never hear me say that the rest of my life. No, anybody around me, if they've ever heard me say that, it had to have been when I was a child. That is the sabotage I'm talking about. It's that kind of stuff right there. That's one of the traps that'll keep you in your little bubble that you want to get out of. If you are saying I'll be happy when, then what you're doing is you're subconsciously establishing that you're not happy right now. And your brain will detect that you're telling yourself you're not happy now, and it will keep you not happy now. That's how this stuff works. So what's a better alternative is, this car is going to feel so good when I'm driving it down the street with the top down. Like, that's how you view your future. You attach the emotion, you attach the feeling to it. That new car smell. Everybody knows when I said new car smell, you know what I'm talking about.
You can almost smell it.
Yeah. So the more of those type thoughts, you just thought of a new car smell.
Makes you want to go get a new car.
But you can smell what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it's the feeling. You know the feeling of it.
I tell you new car smell, and you immediately can smell what I'm talking about. So you got to tie your emotion. It has to be that strong. You got to tie as many senses to what your ideal scene is as you possibly can. Sight, smell, taste, whatever that thing is that you're after. You got to tie as many of your senses as possible to it. And like I said earlier, you got to almost obsess over it. Like, my morning ritual was for an hour to say that phrase. And I know that reprogrammed my brain.
No, that's huge. And when you get into situations too, when you know who you are, that when you get into a situation, a business deal, somebody wants to try to not necessarily take advantage of you, but pay less money. But if you know, it's like, hey, I get the most for every deal possible, and you give that off, they're going to give it to you.
If you really want to get serious about, and guys, a lot of this financial stuff is subjective. Look, if $100 is a ton of money to you, then that's fine. I'm not here to tell you it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
If $1 million is a lot, I mean, it's all subjective. So the thing that I learned early on is you get what you focus on. So if you start carrying yourself the way that people that have a lot of money carry themselves, then it'll keep you going in that same direction that you want to be in. So one of the things that I did, and it's another one of my rules. Man, I should do a series on rules that I live by.
I think that
I've never even thought of
got
that.
100 different series.
But one of the rules that I live by, and I'm very serious about it, is I believe in paying full price for everything. I know it might sound crazy. I know it might be weird or unconventional, but it's a personal rule that I have. And here's what it does. This is great. What it does is it programs me to believe that everybody's that way. It programs me to believe that my customers are going to pay full price with me.
And that's the way that you approach every deal too, business.
Yeah, I don't negotiate prices.
No, you don't want me to negotiate quality. I'm not going to go negotiate.
Well, I don't negotiate prices check this out. I don't negotiate prices with who I'm spending money with. And in turn, I don't expect anyone to negotiate prices with me.
That's huge. I love that.
And it sucks. Sometimes it sucks, dude, because I don't like burning money, but it's a rule that I live by. Because here's the thing, man, I'm going to make way more in my life by living by that rule than by trying to negotiate whatever I'm going to save on my next deal.
And you're talking more so when it comes to services or because I mean you'll go buy if there's a Louis Vuitton bag on sale, would you go buy it?
I'd buy it, but I'm not going to negotiate over it. I'll just buy whatever. I'll give them whatever they're asking.
Okay, that's what I love that. It's crazy you said that because one of my rules is I don't ever take anything for free. Even if people offer me, I say I can't accept it. I can't do it, and I can't let people
appreciate it as much, man.
Well, yeah, and it just does something. Because I am not. If I'm going to do something for you, I'm going to give you 130%. In return, I expect the same thing. If somebody tells me that they're going to do something, I expect them to do it to their best of abilities. I get it. Like you can't always be on time because things happen, but give it your 110% best because I don't want anything that's free because if it's not high quality, I almost see that person as less. And maybe that's wrong, but it's hard for me. And that's why I don't do business with friends and I don't do business with family.
It's the
because
value.
if you give me something that is subpar quality to where I know it can be better, internally, it makes me want to be away from that person. It's like, I would never give you that. Why would you give me that?
Right. So, that's another thing that I do that I know contributes to my success. As weird as it might sound, I just know in my, I can't think of the word. I know in my core, it's a core belief. I know in my core that if I treat people right and don't negotiate and haggle with them over their prices, then I can truthfully, ethically expect the same in return. And I get the same in return.
No, it's what's different is your life shows all that, everything that you've talked about, your life shows it. And so my last question for you, if life is a video game, you beat the video game and that's it, right? But when it comes to the video game of life, like you talk about, you paint your dreams out on the canvas, like here's my perfect life. What happens after you hit that? Because you hit your perfect life. What happens after that? How do you re-strategize? What do you do? Because I feel like a lot of people, they got what they wanted, whether they said, hey, if I get this, I'm going to be happy. Yep. And when they actually get it, it's like, all right, what's next? Like what happens after you win?
So then you do what I just did and focus on the next thing. So my next vision board, my next project that I'm working on is 500 acres of undisclosed location with an airport, completely off grid, full solar, the whole 9 yards. That's just my next thing in my life. And it took me 6 months to create that in my mind. You got to create your mind first, guys.
That's what the difference, right? Because a lot of people but a lot of people hit their goals, and a lot of it happens in the midlife crisis. By the time you get successful, a lot of people are at midway through their life, and they thought, well, this is going to make me happy, and then they find out that it didn't. a lot of them
Right.
fall into,
You got to
alcohol,
be happy.
depression.
Happy state of mind, man. Jake, if somebody called you right now and said, "Man, you just hit the Powerball," we tracked it down and it came to you. Your address is the one that hit the Powerball. You now have $1 billion. How long would it take you to feel happy?
I mean, I feel happy. It quick
Like
right
a
then.
half a second?
Yeah.
It'd take you that long to get there, right?
Yeah.
About a half a second. All right. That proves that it's a state of mind. You can be happy now because you could have been happy with somebody giving you good news on a phone call. You could be in the worst mood and somebody calls you and tells you you won the Powerball and instantly be happy. That proves that it's a state of mind. So it's not, I'll be happy in a year when I do this. Dude, be happy right now, this moment. Be happy that you got the info from this podcast that you can change your life with.
It's huge.
Like be excited now that you've heard all this so you can take your notes and go out and apply it. Like, be happy right now. And then when all that other stuff comes, it's even cool too. Be happy then too. But be happy now, man. You don't have to be any other way. I think we're meant to be happy. We're meant to have happy lives.
No, I couldn't agree.
There's no contingency on happiness.
No, there's no contingency on happiness.
The easiest way to change your state, if you're stuck in a rut, which we've all been, the easiest way to change your state is to go help somebody. Just go help somebody. Just to be kind. Just go help somebody. If it's helping, it doesn't matter. Like if your neighbor needs their leaves raked, if somebody has a flat tire and you can help them change it, just go help somebody. And that one little spark of positivity, you can feed off of it because that'll make you feel good. And when you help one person just to help them, that makes you feel good and then makes you happy. And then it gets you in a good mood. And then boom, now you're going. Now you got that rhythm going. And so anytime you're in an environment and you want to change it rapidly, just go help somebody. Break that cycle. Stop what you're doing. Go buy somebody lunch. Go take somebody to lunch. Just go help somebody just to help them and watch what happens.
The reason I got my business career started off is because I made people, feel happy while I was waiting tables on them. And, that led to an opportunity, but just going out there and helping somebody literally can change your state of mind. So no, Dale, this has been incredible, man. Where can people find you on, lines? I know people are going to be listening to that and say, I need to get more Dale Childress in my life. Where can they find you?
Dale Childress Jr. on Facebook. You can find me at #MasterCloser. There's a lot of that out there. I think I got several thousand of those floating around. You can find me on Instagram. I know I got some social media guys that are working on all that stuff right now. LinkedIn. The easiest way you can contact me is message me through Facebook. Tell me you heard the podcast. I'll be more than happy to help you any way I can. Again, Dale Childress Jr. on Facebook or #MasterCloser. I own Master Closer Training Technologies, and we travel the United States and train sales teams on how to close more deals.
Boom.